Alrighty, welcome back, y'all. So, today, day number 60, it's a rest day, so we're just kind of hanging out for a moment, but rest day was actually yesterday. Today is day 61 chest, but we're filming the rest day video today, because I was, pretty busy yesterday. I was doing a bunch of yard work, and, between yard equipment and just moving around and all that stuff, I didn't feel like taking a break to film anything and talking. So some days, you just kind of want to get things done. So yesterday, took care of the yard, got it weed whacked, got all the leaves blown out of the places where they surround the front and back lawns and whatnot. And got the lawns mowed, got all the trimmings taken down to the dump, and just spent a few hours outside yesterday getting stuff done. It's kind of nice, and it was a nice, like the first warm day here on Cape Cod. It was like 68 degrees yesterday. Now today it's pouring rain, of course, and like 60, 58, something like that. The next few days are going to be trash again. But hey, next rest day, Wednesday, it's going to be another high 60 day. So that's going to be nice. So we're finally starting to get, into that spring weather, which will be nice. But allergies today, a little jacked up because of all the yard work yesterday, is what it is. But let's talk about some self accountability. So, a lot of people, for many different things, will come up with some reason outside of themselves that something's not done, or something's messy, something's wrong, and they just refuse to take accountability for it being wrong, no matter what it is. Like, left a plate out, didn't do the dishes, didn't mow the lawn, didn't go and pick the weeds, only cleaned up half the yard, or didn't wash the truck, or whatever. Like, washed it poorly, right? Like, you rinsed it down, but that was it, type of thing. Or you take out trash, but you only take out half of the trash. So there's a lot of normal life examples to make the accountability argument that a majority of people do. Now, if you want to get deeper into it, like why haven't you gotten a pay raise? Or why haven't you made any progress in the gym? Why haven't you lost any weight? Why don't you have abs? Or if we're getting into the fitness stuff, like, because people cheat on their diet plans and they don't hold themselves self accountable for it. They go, oh, well, my urges are too strong, or I'm eating within my calories, but their calories are all sugar. None of it's protein. Like, there's no real nutrition to it. And they're not taking their vitamins. They're not, doing their cardio. Cardio is a big one. I also skipped quite a bit of cardio. So, but we are going to crack down on that today for the next 30 days going on. I'm not going to use the weather's been too shitty, I'm not doing my cardio. I have a treadmill. So I'm going to just have to go do the treadmill, even though it's super boring, and get my steps in. I have to be a little better with my diet. I'm pretty on point with it like 98% of the time. But I do have my urges to, go have a burger or have like a whole shit ton of chicken wings or something. And even though it's like protein, but my body doesn't tolerate bread very well. So then I get inflamed and I put on a couple pounds and it stops my progress. Or go have chicken wings. It's a shit ton of barbecue sauce and it's all doused in who knows what chemicals and sugars. And so that stops my progress because then the calories are just absurd. But we last 3 days done very well with with eating and the protein. Trying to follow more of a carnivore style diet, so it's not completely that, but it's about 90%. So morning breakfast for the last 3 days has been chicken sausages. So various flavors, but they're 110 calories a link. So have two of those. Feel a little satiated. I also have my protein coffee in the morning from Chike, so that's 120 calories there. Then I have a pound of ground beef. It does have a little Worcestershire sauce in it, so not technically carnivore, but that's what I got to do to season it up. I cook everything with Worcestershire sauce, and that's not going to change. It doesn't bother me any, and so I'm not going to worry about it because I'm trying to eliminate things that inflame me. So then that works out to be 600 calories for a pound of ground beef because it's 150 calories per 4 ounces, and I make my own ground beef, so it's basically like 98% lean ground chuck. Well, it's 2 chuck roasts on a bottom round, and I trim a majority of the fat out of it and then grind it. So, it's as healthy as ground beef as you could probably really get to. So, that's what I'm doing there for that. And then evening time, I've had 1 scoop of my bucked up protein mixed in water. And then night before last, I did some eggs and a glass of milk to finish off my calories. Because when you're not eating anything but meat, I tell you what, your calories pretty freaking low. So it takes a lot of eating to hit, even just 1,780 calories. But I do feel much fuller. My energy levels were a lot nicer the last few days. Last night I had some ice cream instead of the milk and the eggs. So ended up at like 200 grams of protein yesterday with the ice cream versus the like 230 I hit the day before. Not too worried about that. It still 200 grams of protein is plenty. So that's been the change in my diet. We are going to follow that for the next 30 days here. Pretty much eating exactly that for the most part. I might do some chicken breasts, add it on in there. I'm not a big egg fan, so the eggs were pretty rough to put down. So try to avoid those. Might do some extra scoops of protein powder just to feel a little fuller as I go along and keep me from trying to snack. But still, we have a caloric goal. Protein, it's just going to get a massive bump here. So, if you're not being accountable for your own actions, you're never going to make the changes you need to make progress and to better yourself. And I think I see this a lot with, we'll say the older generations. I mean, I'm starting to get pretty old. I turn 36 later this year, or 37 later this year. Dear boy, oh boy. But, um, either way, we, people in their mid 50s to mid 60s, they've either already made those choices to be active and healthy, or they've made those choices to eat a bunch of garbage and be as inactive as possible. And it shows in their health and their attitudes. The people that have chosen to eat pretty unhealthy and be as lazy as possible tend to be very grumpy, very angry. If you need them to do something, they're going to be super pissy about it. And they're just unhappy about life. But the people who are active, get their stuff done, eat a little cleaner, they seem to not have as many body aches and stuff. They're a little more level-minded. They might, have short tempers or be quickly irritated by people, but, they've had 55 to 65 years of life and dealing with fucking stupidity in their life. Your ability to deal with that kind of diminishes if you deal with enough stupid people over time. So, it just kind of happens. So, I don't fault people for being short with others, because that's a attribute that kind of develops over time and with situation versus their own choices per se. So, because some people are just also super blunt and they don't care about the fluff. So it's like, get to your point so we can continue on with whatever this progress needs to be. So, there's a lot of things that kind of go into that. So, but I have noticed it's pretty interesting. Those who eat junk and are pretty inactive definitely seem to hate activity a whole lot more when they're kind of pushed into having to do something. But that's everyone's own self-choice, I guess. But they just don't have the accountability for what they're doing. They don't care that they're being lazy. They don't care that they're eating like crap and making themselves feel worse. They just want to say, oh, it's because I'm old. But it's not. It's because you are making yourself feel like this. And you can change it. You just choose not to. And they don't want to accept that they're their own worst enemies. At least that's my perspective on it. So, but in the terms of being self-accountable, I need to work more on my cardio. I'm taking my diet from like 90% on point up to like 98% on point, so I'm going to make that next little jump there. And then I do definitely need to work a little more on my schoolwork. Definitely been slacking on that as well. But that, guys, that's going to kind of end off today's talking head rest day video here. So, make sure you're working towards your goals, getting your stuff done. Most of all, just don't be a lazy fuck.